It's time for the 4th episode today, guys. And the title of this one is called Warrior Midlife Crisis. Let's check it out.
Open door in 5.
Okay.
4.
What,
Now.
What? Why do you want him to hold? What? Can you do... Jesus Christ. No.
Open door in 5. 4. Now. Oh, fuck, let me
There's
in.
a lot of people there.
Oh, you fucking bastard. Fucking scum, you hard scum. Just fucking let me in. Let me in. Fuck.
That's a classic.
Oh, fuck. Ah, I'm in.
Oh, shit.
Ooh. So, you're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
He has Wilbur weapon, by the way.
Well, last time, our hero fought bravely to
yep.
overcome harsh perils and tough times, completing Black Fathom Deeps in Ashenvale and flying off into the distance. So how did I end up storming Scarlet Monastery, a dungeon way above my pay grade, wielding an extremely powerful weapon, with a group of gnomes, one of which I hold a lifelong grudge towards, who through a series of events I'll explain later, ended up unequipping all his armor to sit down and enjoy a regular day in World of Warcraft.
Okay.
And then, the Fire Nation attacked.
Oh shit. The Adventures of Spock Victus, the Warrior Midlife Crisis. Alright, let's go, boys.
I'll have you know I've gone through much peril to bring you this video. The Deathmold saga has finally come to a close as they've yet again declared my apartment legally fit for human life.
What?
I'll admit it was my fault. I should have refrained from chopping that milk in half with an axe years ago, but there's no use in crying over spilled milk. What's important is focus. The who, what, when, and the where. I traveled from Ashenvale to Duskwood, exploring a new land in search of quests.
What?
You see, I had to get to level 30 to
UberDanger.
execute Order 66, or as it's referred to by the WoW community, absolutely ruining our game. But I digress.
Shit.
In my time there, I killed foul ghouls and scary skeletons. I met a man who through a very advanced form of schizophrenia was actually 5 people,
Classic.
4 of which were buffing his conscious self. I got enriched by the local culture and killed a mage in his own bed, completely honorless, but also something he'd never expect. Found a mob spawned inside of a wall. Fucking unplayable 15-year-old trash game. Became acquainted with what the locals refer to as the situation. And I made an enemy who I harbor great negative emotions towards. I saw a bunch of people posting in the chat about this one rogue who was just terrorizing this relatively low leveling area.
And that's why they do it, man, okay? They want to be that guy. They want to be like that notorious rogue, like destroying all the lives of the low levels, man. It's such a classic moment, man. Undead male rogue camping low levels.
Finally got to me, I couldn't believe it.
Yep.
It was Sindolf, bastard. The same fucking guy from way back then.
Oh, no way!
Getting ganked by a rogue in WoW is truly falling victim to one of the classic blunders. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, and I'll advertise the creation of a mob to hunt you down. All Horde players are just people that had awful parenting, and it was time to cleanse Darkwood of this evil. We used a formation that's in American football referred to as the Dirty Gremlin. We split up in 3 directions from where the rogue was last seen, and all act as bait. When the child in need of a proper father figure can't retain his misplaced emotions any longer, he strikes just as I expected. I rejoiced and truly tasted sweet victory. Sindolf should have known never to start a land war in the Eastern Kingdoms, but only slightly less known is this. Never going against the Night Elf when death is on the line!
Oh shit.
He killed me and logged off. And then I did something despicable. After reaching level 30 through various means which I'm not legally obliged to disclose, I went scouting for a guild, not because I lacked companionship, but rather because I was gonna take them for all they had.
Wait, what did this say?
Because I lacked companionship, but rather
We're friendly and shit too. We just started recruiting. Not many members yet, but we'll get there. Can I interest you in an invite? Oh, okay.
Either because I was gonna take them for all they had. You see, at level 30 you get access to your warrior quests, which if completed give you access to Berserker Stance and the Whirlwind Axe respectively. Now through traditional means one couldn't possibly begin to take on these tasks at level 30. That is where the guild comes into play. You see, warriors suck so fucking much at leveling that they almost sort of default into being the best scaling class in the game. It's quite unimpressive when you think about it. Here's my math.
What?
Due to the lackluster experience, warriors, when you think about it, here's my math.
Useful, how effective, time passed, how shitty leveling is, how much misery. Dude, what the hell is this graph? Where's Rogue at? What's all this? At level 1, the warrior is the least useful class, and level 60, the warrior is the most useful class. Due to the laws of math, that means that warrior scales better than any other class in Classic. I mean, he's not wrong.
Due to the lackluster experience, warriors are in high demand, and guilds are oftentimes very invested in helping their warriors progress to a point where they can raid. Here's where the aforementioned ruse comes into play. I joined a guild and convinced this poor soul to help me through the entirety of my warrior quest chain, which requires a couple steps. First, we have a stern talking with our warrior class trainer.
Greetings.
Who tells us we need to travel to a faraway island. With haste, I return to Duskwood and enter possibly the biggest world PvP clusterfuck in the game, which both thematically and geographically is almost entirely like Vietnam. One of the actual inspirations behind this rumble in the jungle. Our goal is to make it to Booty Bay at the southern tip, where we'll not just pick up a flight path, but also take a boat to Merchant's Coast in the Barrens. I was terrified.
Is it really? Vietnam map. Images. No, it's not. No, he bamboozled a little bit. I think, right? Is it? This is Vietnam. That's a little bamboozle. It's like a rut. It's like a rut. A little bit, I guess. Oh, it's the tip! Oh, I was looking at the entire thing, but it's more like the tip. Oh yeah, the tip looks like it. I can see that. Yeah, Grumgol is right there. Up here, this is where the cave is. Then there's a little water there. Then down there, that's Booty Bay. Oh yeah, it does look like that, actually. Okay, interesting.
Of all the Horde players, and I focused so much on avoiding them that I died to the mob. With a few minor incidents along the way, I managed to claw my way through the jungle and get to Booty Bay. Oh shit, that actually rhymes. That's actually bars.
What? Don't do this. No, don't.
With the few minor incidents along the way, I managed to claw my way through the jungle and get to Booty Bay. Fuck. On the real though, compared to how much my friends and everybody in this game was hyping this area up to just be a death zone, the Horde players were actually surprisingly nice, just letting a low-level player pass through. I'll be sure to remember that, and I'll be kind to these Horde players once I reach level 60 and return to this jungle with 100 men armed to the teeth. But I digress. Now, if I had jumped off the boat well ahead of time, I would have been right next to the island. Instead, I went mountain climbing for 15 minutes before realizing I went the wrong way. To then find out that there's a fatigue system in the game. You can absolutely exert all your energy and drown. In World of Warcraft, you learn something new every day. I finally make it to the island and speak to Clannoc Magleod, a reference to the musician, who wants me to kill Big Will, who's actually also a reference to the musician Big Will. After doing this man's dirty work, we learn Berserker Stance and begin the hard part of the quest. We journey all the way to Hillsbrad Foothills, tie to Helcular, up through the Alterac Mountains, and speak to Bathra the Windwatcher, who gives us the WoW class quest equivalent to 40 shots of tequila at once. We gotta bring him 8 life root, 30 blood scalp tusks, and an essence of the exile. The life root is pretty cheap, but we'll be bankrupting our economy for the essence. You see, to make it you need 8 cresting, burning, and thundering charms. something I could spend a week grinding or just buy on the auction house. After getting scammed by various Chinese auction house bots, I headed to Stranglethorn Vale to meet up with the man who was spending hours of his life helping out a new guild member. Now getting these Bloodscalp tusks is incredibly rewarding, and by that, I mean agonizingly slow, unreasonably inconsistent, and altogether an irreconcilable experience void of any gratification. We have to kill trolls until I have 30 tusks. It's not unusual to kill 10 without getting a single drop.
It can be really
there is one area where a lot of trolls spawn, but we got killed there 5 times in a row and decided it wasn't fucking meant to be.
There's just so many horde that has quests there. That's why STV is so rough.
Left us with the option of farming this much shittier part. It felt like the good area, but sugar-free. Like the discount experience for the losers who couldn't hack it. This was diet tusk farming, and I wasn't having fun. In the jungle, there's no mercy. You kill people to steal their mob. You kill people to layer them. In fact, you kill people just cause you fucking can.
WoW is such like a...
It's not like you got anything better to do whilst waiting several minutes for a troll to spawn. I started farming these tusks at 1:30 AM, and it took a solid 2 hours before I had 30.
Dude, he is actually nocturnal. Every single video I've seen him playing, he's literally always in the middle of the night.
At this point, my man had actively been assisting me for nearly 4 hours.
Oh god.
Fuck. We then journeyed back to the Alterac Mountains to complete the final part of the quest. After Bathrok hooks up a potent concoction, we perform the summoning ritual.
Use the river.
After which, Cyclonian kills us immediately. It wasn't even close, we definitely needed assistance. I looked through my friends list and the only person online was Larry6, the infamous gnome of doom. I swallowed my pride and asked for his help. He obliged, and with the help of a couple people from my guild, we finally managed to take down Cyclonian. I turned in the quest and was finally the proud owner of the Whirlwind Axe.
Dude,
a weapon so goddamn good for my level that it should be illegal to wear at level 30. After receiving the axe, I told my guild it's been a pleasure doing business with them and immediately left the guild.
No way he did that.
Hold on. Darkness just texted me.
We're still a bit short on people.
Larry and I agreed to meet up some other time to settle our differences. And it was at this very moment that I started rising to glory. You see, I checked my mailbox. Abortion sent us a letter titled, "Got Milk," containing 235 glasses of milk. He also included a second package with 5 pounds of flesh, troll sweat, mystery meat, and vision dust. You know what to do with these. Fuck sent us 69 silver to compensate for what he did in Dead Mines. This letter was titled, "Mental Disability. Here's 2 gold for the trouble, you poor rascal." Huckster says use these to beat mages and sends me 2 free action potions and 2 swiftness potions. These will come in very handy.
Who is this?
Diarrhea says, "Wear a shirt, you filth." I humbly accepted my new garments. Mind if I put my sweet nectar in your moist cornbread? Please don't message me again. And Rurik makes a generous contribution to the crusade. These 10 gold will be spent very well. I'm gonna invest them in goblin rocket boots that might blow up and getting e-drunk with presumably women.
What?
Speaking of presumably women, I got a promiscuous letter from Big Titty GF, who sent me some of her homemade cheese. I told her it was disgusting and sent it back. And now it was time for a dungeon. Not the one from the intro, we'll get to that, but rather it was time to bludgeon our new axe on Gnome Ragan.
I wonder what's gonna happen.
The only dungeon in the game where almost every single enemy is a gnome. A dungeon I chose for no particular reason. Starting time 1 AM. Catchphrase, here we go again. If God is real,
dude.
Amen.
No, what? No, it's way
longer. This run was a disservice to human intelligence and probably the biggest fiasco I've encountered during my 100+ hours in Azeroth. It's honestly impressive that this many things could go wrong at the same time. Check it out, right? I couldn't get the first keycard to drop, probably because of a bug, but possibly due to unfathomable bad luck. so no quest XP for me.
Rip.
Later we survive an ambush, after which Blastmaster Short Fuse sets off an explosion and closes the entrance to the tunnel. Somehow, I managed to walk through the rubble just at the moment before the invisible wall gets put into place. And there I stood,
What?
completely soft-locked.
I have never seen that happen ever. How did he manage to do that? He has to
I couldn't
die.
Hearthstone out or get my health to 0. Had it not been for the Warlock summoning portal, I
Oh,
would have had
easy.
to start a new life as a cave dweller. Our whole group then goes on to miss the second
Should've
punch
skipped.
cart, and our warrior needs for a
guess so,
ring with
yeah.
spirit and stamina. This caused Tractor, our mage, to have a
Wait, what? Yeah, he says, yeah, I'm gonna leave this party, fuck this rogue, fucking retail kid.
mental breakdown. As I'm focused on the chat, I managed to
Wait. I'm just so done. I don't want to stay in a party with a guy like that. I just need 2 more essential artifacts, says UberDanger. Tractor, calm down. Still here. Shockwick, chill. I'm calm. Is this just the 3 a.m. raids? Like,
through a
what is
group
this?
of mobs. My comrades stand still and watch me die. I call Tractor a redditor, he leaves the party, and I manage to get exactly 11 out of 12 essential artifacts before having to give up. Considering literally everything went wrong, I thought it couldn't possibly get any worse. So I find a new group and start all over.
Brutal, yeah.
That jump was perfect, by the way, and on purpose. Gnome Regan, or Gnomerigan, Gnome Reagan,
What?
is a stale experience with a bit of charm to it. It's not utterly poorly designed like Stockades, but there's nothing extraordinary either. So let's skip past all the boring
it's a good
shit.
dungeon.
5 a.m.
Done.
we wiped to these arcane nullifiers and got to re-experience
Oh my
Blizzard's
God.
patented, gruesome, walk to your corpse gameplay. We make a
classic.
calculated jump that brings us within an inch of losing our lives. I get disconnected. After reconnecting to the Blizzard multiplayer experience, I use the auto blow too, because
Ooh,
might
wait, what?
as well while I have the chance. It's not like I'll ever do this godforsaken fucking dungeon again. Then, after a long night of harsh grief and misfortune, it was time for the boss.
Ooh.
You already know what I did. If you've seen the first 3 videos, you know the pattern, you know what's coming, you've seen this before. Going utterly against the suggestions of my comrades,
What?
I charge in whilst our healer has
Oh.
0 mana, proceed to die without popping my health potion, and
What the fuck is wrong with you? I'm so sorry. I'll do bombs. I will kidney after. Should I start walking?
somehow I still have the fucking nerve to ask for a goddamn revive whilst my whole group gets slaughtered. After we all wipe, I had to undergo the walk of shame. After spending a moderate amount of time to get back to the boss room, I finally managed to beat Gnomerigan. It's at this point that I'm supposed to feel satisfaction, but let me tell you, no matter how many completed quests I have in my log, no matter how close I am to hitting level 32, there's
Okay.
absolutely no happy juices left in the brain when you're at
Bro.
the tail end of an infamous WoW session till the sun rises.
Bro, dude, this guy, he is like the definition of a gamer, man. Every single video I've seen so far, it's literally always like morning when he's done raiding. And he's like, oh, I can finally go to bed, dude. What the heck?
Having had my fill of dungeon grinding, I decided to go on an adventure, seeing as I'm the
Seems
type
good.
of person who would rather spend 3 hours of my life than
Okay.
Google the next appropriate zone for my character.
I like this.
I started at
This is good.
Hillsbrad Foothills, went through Silverpine Forest, and found a giant purple ball in Dalaran.
Dalaran.
I met this undead priest who danced with me and licked me, after which I'd earned his trust. I led him into a faraway cave and fucking killed him.
What
I
the-
swam across Lordamere Lake and met this old couple living in a house. I found out the hard way that they don't take kindly to strangers. When I finally got away from them, an assassin unstealthed and killed me in cold blood. And then
Yep.
I did all that again, in wisp form, after
It's so cool. Sorry, it's so cool seeing someone just explore the game like
which
this. I love it.
entered Horde territory. And since
so
Tirisfal
sick.
Glades apparently wasn't scary enough, I decided to venture into
love it.
Undercity. I quickly
Why?
changed my mind. Now here is where my exploration took an unexpected turn. I saw a Zeppelin for the first time. Seeing as it was garrisoned by death guards, packed to the brim with horde players, and headed to an unknown destination. I immediately knew I had to board it. Using corpse walking, I res inside the airship and fly off into the distance, eagerly awaiting unknown lands. Now, the very unfortunate thing was that an orc found me. Considering I revealed myself, that really shouldn't have come as a surprise. As he enforced natural selection at its finest, I managed to hold on to dear life just a tad longer by doing my sexy dance. When he started skanking, I actually thought I was safe. But lo and behold, he was still gonna end me. And just as I'm about to die, we enter the loading zone to Kalimdor. Having mildly better internet than my oppressor, I seize the moment and jump out of the blimp. I land safely in the water and swim to the shore. However, it didn't take long for me to realize that this was no place for a night elf.
Did he actually...
With a great sense of urgency, I decided to take the airship back. In Durotar, you can expect to run into just a couple horde players taking advantage of the free public transit. I zoom past them and hide in the cargo hold. Everything was going smoothly until I was yet again discovered by an orc. I tried to negotiate with him, but I quickly discovered that he had all the leverage. When he inevitably tries to stab me, I jump out of the Zeppelin. I survive the fall just to be met by a small army of horde players that can all see the big red arrow above my head. I suppose what happened next was to be expected. I'd had enough of this shit and took the Hearthstone home, flew to Theramore Isle, and ran through Dustswallow Marsh. With only a handful of deaths, I trek my way through the Barrens and make it to Thousand Needles. So my gnome friend here is one hit away from dying. Naturally, I do everything in my power to save him from this gruesome sheep, who much to my surprise turned out to be an orc under a spell.
You weren't saving him.
Man, look at that. That's just goddamn beautiful. Took me 3 hours. Now in WoW, you can't actually communicate with the Horde. Whatever they write gets distorted into Orcish, but people have figured out how to type shit in Orcish. And when I tried questing, only to be slain time and time again by this bastard who kept telling me to go back to retail, I'd had enough of this terrible place. In a last-ditch effort, I went to Gadget Sand to pick up a flight path, so this entire journey hadn't been for nothing. And that was the very moment that I received a message from the gnome, asking if I wanted to join in on farming Scarlet Monastery. On the condition that I stopped picking on gnomes. Even knowing my track record with dungeons in WoW, I convinced myself that this was the move, seeing as the boss could yield an axe I wanted more than anything else in this game. Therefore, I went all the way back to Hillsbrad Foothills and met up with Larry. And this is actually the funny part. Remember that entire journey I just described to you? Now I had to do half of it again. And together with an individual who simply couldn't stop talking about how I should stop being mean to gnomes.
Level 48,
so you like to pick on little guys, eh?
With 10% luck, 20% skill, and 15% concentrated power of will, we actually make it to our destination in one piece. Now, if almost every dungeon leading up to this was a full-blown clusterfuck, this was a well-oiled machine. A symbiotic magnum opus, showcasing team... Teamwork and synergy I never thought possible. Having several mages busting through armory is a fucking beautiful sight to behold. Prior to this, if I aggroed a few mobs, I was the bastard who fucked up. Now, anything less than 10 mobs was considered wasting time. I had to throw in the towel and admit, alright, I'm having a good time here, this is fucking gameplay. Larry even drank the Noggenfogger elixir, which made him even smaller, and honestly, I respect a man of that size. These gnomes were clearly giving me the absolute hookup, and I could do nothing but reciprocate. Leading us to the part in the intro which I so shamelessly clickbaited you with. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to inform you that nothing extraordinary happened beyond that point. We ran the dungeon a couple times, I got Herod's helmet and shoulders, yet no axe. The day after, I decided to try again with a new group. But without the mage hookup, it was painfully slow. We ran the dungeon for 4 hours before the Ravager finally dropped, at which point, Svanpult.
Sorry about that. Let's keep watching.
The man who'd previously informed me that the axe was of no use to him needs on it, and I lose the 50-50 roll. Dungeons in World of Warcraft, man. I'm starting to see a pattern here.
Yep. What time is it?
As a silver lining to end the
6
video on a
a.m.
high note, I rekindled with my bangin'
Oh!
WoW GF Elizabeth. She'd been grinding the real world, resulting in a solid level deficit,
What a
landing
loser.
me the power position in the relationship. Financially, I was a powerhouse.
Oh,
DPS-wise,
shit.
I was a primal fucking animal. And that's why they always come crawling back, especially if you don't tell them about the letter from Big Titty GF.
Oh, shit.
Anyways, that's the end of our journey for now. Getting E-smashed
good
with
video. I like this
presumably
one.
women. Would our hero ever get the Ravager axe? Would Swak-Wictus rise to the occasion? And what gruesome adventures awaits our hero?
Damn.
I suppose you'll find out if I don't quit playing this game. Which I might.
Dude, this was one of my favorites so far. For sure, this was my favorite video of like the series so far. Because I liked that he was like exploring, running around in the world, like just a fresh experience. This was for sure my favorite.